damn, son. What's wrong with you, Ryan Clark? Be nice to the white women. Treat milk nice. Ryan Clark is trying to move his own career. Doesn't matter what he says. They're absolutely loud and stupid and arrogant. That's the problem at ESPN. The morale is awful. They strong-arm the white dudes. We're really going to spill it out there. ESPN's gotten way too racist internally. Equal but special is Ryan Clark's mantra. You know, I didn't realize this. Ryan Clark, who is crushing like RG3 and getting involved with his white wife, a.k.a. Milk. Ryan Clark, as a baby mama, that's a white woman, which means he's got a half-white daughter. What's wrong with you, Ryan Clark? Damn, you like that snow like the rest of us do, that milk, but damn, son, why are you so anti-white woman? Why are you so critical of RG3 because he hangs out with white women when you decided you were going to, white gal have a baby, which means you got a daughter that's half white? Be nice to the white women. Treat milk nice. Treat that snow kindly. That's what Joby Wright, assistant coach at Indiana, legendary player at Indiana, used to go, oh, Danny, we should get that snow going. I knew what he meant. He didn't mean cocaine. I asked him, well, you guys are doing coke? He goes, no, white women. We all get it. We all get it. According to America's Conscious, Bobby Brack, who will be joining us here in a little bit, multiple coworkers of Ryan Clark at ESPN have reached out to Bobby, highlighting their wish that the network show some spine. I told you this before. This phone right here. See this phone? This phone contains many text messages from ESPNers. Many you don't know behind the scenes that are like, man, the morale at this place is awful because it's just gotten too woke, too crazy, too racist. If we're really going to spill it out there, ESPN's gotten way too racist internally. Even hanging out where it used to be kind of fun. I've said this before. You go to the green room, you hang out, it's a good time. Hey, you go get a little makeup done. In my case, a lot of makeup done. It's a good time. Now the women there are insane. They're absolutely loud and stupid and just arrogant, and it's just awful. And thus, morale is terrible. In fact, people that I know say, man, I come in as late as I can and get out of there as early as I can. And it never was that way. It started my last couple times there. I worked with that Chimmy lady. I realized who she was. I was on a set with Elle Duncan. I'm like, this isn't about sports. This is about their careers. See, the beauty of working with Mike Tirico or Davey O'Brien or Jason Benetti, Dave Fleming, all guys that are the greats in broadcast, it was never about their careers. It was about the show. These folk you see on ESPN, now it's about their career, getting their show. And it's all bullshit, and it's horrible behind the scenes. Coworkers are reaching out to Bobby. They want the network, it won't happen, to show some spine and hold Clark accountable for his absurd comments on RG3's family while taking issue with RG3's analysis of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. All RG3 said was, and any human being with half a brain can see it, all RG3 said was, yo, you can tell Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Of course you can. I mean, unless you are shrouded under the veil of, man, I don't care what a black woman does. I'm not saying nothing about it. No, I don't care about that. Let's treat this league like athletes. Let's do what I have done this entire time. Treat them like a real league, like athletes, until they give us reason not to, and they always give us reason not to. Let's continue. The ESPN talents we spoke to emphasized that Clark implied Griffin's role as a father, son, and brother. Clark has a black mother, 4 black daughters, 3 black sisters, and yet Clark claimed Griffin doesn't have conversations at home about what black women endure. That's why I said yesterday, I didn't know all this, but I said yesterday, he's got a black mom. I'm sure he's got black aunts. I don't know whether he has sisters or not, but if he does, there's your conversation. It's a conversation that he grew up with. Got a black dad. I mean, I don't know what the problem is here with Ryan Clark and RG3. I don't. Seems like it was something from Monday Night Football, but I'll tell you what I think it is. Ryan Clark is trying to move his own career. Doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter if he's any good at what he does, and he may be. But right now, ESPN has a problem. it's clouded by all his stupid. It's clouded by his racism. It's clouded by the fact that people that work at ESPN have had enough. They know there's an incredible double standard for Ryan Clark. I knew there was an incredible double standard when I worked there, I don't know, during or before COVID. Incredible double standard. We would laugh. Everybody would laugh. You're like, can you imagine if we said that? Can you imagine if we dressed like that? Can you imagine if we acted that way? No. Hell, I said I wouldn't go in a pool with a woman or go at it in a pool with a woman that wasn't my wife. Oh, I'm getting calls from vice presidents. Oh, my God. You think Ryan got a call from anybody? Hell no. And that's the problem at ESPN. The morale is awful. They strong-arm the white dudes. I'm sorry. I know this makes people crazy. I know Essentially Sports and all these other little bloggers will attack me for this. You do you. But that's what they do. That is in my phone from ESPN, on camera, off camera, folks. Now, if you're mad about that, then you're mad about the truth. If you want to rip me for that, then you're going to rip me for the truth. But that's the way it is. And if I'm going to have a show, which I'm thankful that they give me a show, I'm going to speak the truth, maybe like no others do. A former NFL player turned ESPN analyst told OutKick on Tuesday, RC's a former player, there are two rules in the locker room. You don't talk about a man's girl or their money. Ryan knows better. That shit would not fly face to face. Of course it wouldn't. I mean, look, you've got all of these guys and girls, mostly girls actually at ESPN, they don't care about any of that stuff. How can I get a show? How can I advance my career? Ryan Clark doesn't care any at all about the truth. He doesn't care at all about a locker room code or a guy code. He doesn't care. He is going to make his racist ass points as often as he can make his racist ass points because ESPN's bosses, as Bobby points out, are far too afraid to fire him. The Burke Magnuses and the Connor Shells and the Jimmy Patero who are running the shop over there are so scared of being called racist. Believe me, you're going to be called racist no matter what you do. But they're so scared. It's not like anybody tunes in and says, man, I want to know what Ryan Clark thinks about it. I do. And this isn't the first time with Clark. Clark claimed RG3 lacks understanding about the struggles of black women because he has a white wife. Of course, Ryan Clark, they all like that snow, yo. They do. They can say you don't, but you do. You love it. You know you do. Apparently those two do. Who cares? Why does anybody care who you're dating, who you're sexting? Why does anybody care? I mean, I would have thought that we're beyond that in this day and age. Hell, turn on a commercial. You see biracial families, gay. I mean, it's everywhere. Why does anybody care? I don't. I don't care you got a white wife. I don't care you got a black wife. I don't care if you're a black guy with a white wife with a black guy, black girl with a white guy with a black girl. What do I care? It doesn't matter to me. Why does it matter to these guys? They're trying to make a point, something you wouldn't understand. Bullshit. Ryan Clark was trying to attack RG3, and he was going to go, and he found something that he could hit on, and then everybody said, wait a second, you got a white baby mama. Shut up. Anyway, let's get back to Ryan Clark. He claims Shedeur Sanders' skin color has been weaponized against him during the NFL draft process, despite the fact that every guy drafted is white. That the number one pick was a black quarterback. I mean, that is so stupid. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. The NFL has done the best job of all of leagues of integrating all their diversion policies, diversity policies, and now they don't care about nothing. You hire a black head coach, you hire a black assistant coach, you hire a black assistant, you got a black quarterback. Nobody cares, except, of course, when a douchebag is trying to further his own career by sucking up to Deion Sanders and, quote, his community. Being black had nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders' fall. Much had to do, still don't really know what, but much had to do. But the number one pick in the draft was a black quarterback. That is so stupid, but that is Ryan Clark. Attacked a comedian, Andrew Schultz, over a joke that he told about black women. You're not allowed to joke. Sensitive subject, off limits. But it's not off limits when you talk about a white woman. What are you talking about? What is wrong with you? And why does ESPN allow such blatant racism? You know, people are getting tired of it. I've seen this thing, black fatigue. I don't know about all that, but I know this. More and more African Americans are starting to say, wait a second. We want to be treated equal. Not equal, but special. And that's what's going on here. We all know that. Equal but special is Ryan Clark's mantra. ESPN promotes equal. Yeah, we got to treat everybody equal, but we'll treat these guys and girls special, particularly the girls and Ryan Clark. If Ryan Clark went away today from ESPN, nobody would notice. The only people that would notice would be the minions that follow Clark's bullshit. I was fired because ESPN's racist. Yeah, Jamel Hill would say. Yeah, Bomani Jones would say. Yeah, Pablo Torre would say. And everybody else would go, oh, who the hell's Ryan Clark? And then we would go back to our everyday programming. No, it's entirely up to Ryan Clark and ESPN how they want to handle this. It's entirely up to Ryan Clark whether he wants to keep pushing. Because eventually, I got to believe Burke Magnus, Jimmy Patero, and Connor Snell will get a spine, and Dave Roberts. They'll get a spine. Now, I don't know. Maybe they won't, but they need to pretty fast because the working class, the working force at ESPN inside the building getting awfully tired of Ryan Clark and others' bullshit. Hey, enjoying the show? I know you're enjoying this. I mean, it says Dakich on the back because I'm a player with a Y. Hey, yo. Certainly not a player with an ER. I mean, those days are past, and they weren't that great when I was in college. Anyway, of course you're enjoying the show. How could you not? I'm full of piss and vigor today, Mom. That's just like you taught me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel that says OutKick. That's right. OutKick's YouTube channel is growing. Trying to get it to 2 million. I remember when we crossed the million mark. That wasn't that long ago. Now we're at like 1.73. See, Aaron and Gary, I pay attention to every damn thing. You'll never miss any of the action, whether it's me or it's Tommy or it's Hot Mike or it's Clay. I mean, what are you talking about? Is it Ricky next? Of course it's Ricky next. Great article on our friend Ricky, though, in the New Yorker. Good for Ricky. Pay attention to Ricky's show. I think you're going to like it. Hey, spare us the bullshit, will you please, in the NFL? Spare us the bullshit. A writer named Jared Bell is calling on the NFL to double down on its DEI initiative. Jared Bell never played, never did anything. He's just been a writer forever. And like most writers, he's got a stance that he wants to take because, well, he wants to be popular in his own community. Jared Bell wants them to double down as an act of defiance. Yeah. Damn. Towards President Trump, yeah, I don't think they're going to listen to him. But, hey, I get it. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a writer. You're supposed to push your liberal agenda. And Jared Bell is no different. Jared Bell has been pushing his agenda in the NFL for years. I don't know if he's a good writer or not. I know his name. I think it's a cool name. Always did. I think Jarrett is a cool name. I have a stepson, Jared, but I always thought Jarrett was a pretty cool name. So anyway, I know who this guy is, but like every writer at Gannett, including the very pizza-stained, fat-ass, big-titty Danny Wetzel, not Danny Wetzel, scratch that, Danny Wolken. Sorry, Wetzel. Wetzel, you're the best. I love you, Wetzel. Wolken is a douchebag. But anyway, Jared Bell is upholding. He's upholding what the Gannett, as the stock goes, because of guys like this, the Gannett mantra is, DEI till we die. DEI till we die. What do we want? DEI. When do we want it? Now. Well, the NFL said, there he is. There's Wolken, the pizza-stained one. Big titty. He looks ripped there. He's not. He's just doughy. Anyway, and he's a bad guy. Oof. Anyway, he wants him double down. Yeah. Even though, frankly, the NFL has done a great job with it. But enough. There's never enough. Enough? No. Enough? No. Except that's not the way it plays out. DEI ultimately leads to companies simply looking at candidates based on their immutable characteristics such as their race or gender. It has become legalized discrimination. Because of that, the NFL appears to have slightly rolled back some of its efforts on DEI. Well, I think they've done a great job. And again, I am looking at this very rudimentary, very elementary. I look at the sidelines of NFL teams, and I see a lot of African-American young guys in coaching headphones. I see a lot of hats backwards, guys with clipboards, guys coaching, working. When I sat behind the bench last year for a couple of games at the Colts, that's what I saw, and I think that's all right. I don't care who you hire. It doesn't matter to me. You hire black, white, green, or purple. But hire somebody that can help your team win. That's what I would do as a coach. College basketball has always had a DEI program. You had to hire. Hey, you going to hire that African American assistant, Dan? Yes, I am. Don't worry, I will. I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean, now in college basketball, guys got 4 or 5, and it's good. It's great. Look, here's my opinion on sports. Anything that helps the game grow. And this is where I have a problem with college sports because I don't know that they're helping the game grow. This isn't a DEI thing. This is an NIL thing. But look, professional football continues to grow. Then we've gotten to the point where who cares who's on the sideline, black, white. Everybody's involved now, and it's good. Women are in there, good. Who cares? NBA, women are coaching, good. Who cares? But I know a columnist, and a USA Today columnist, Jared Vell, is mad about it. He penned a column on Monday titling, "Is NFL caving to anti-DEI movement? The optics don't look good." Of course it looks good. Looks like you're following the law of the land. Looks like you're following what the most and best president of my lifetime is mandating. President Trump's administration has waged an all-out war on DEI. 30 states have passed and introduced legislation that eliminates or restricts DEI initiative. So many companies in corporate America have buckled and rolled back DEI commitments. Now is the perfect time for the socially conscious NFL to keep its accelerated program front and center, even with tweaks, as a clear statement that doubles down on its DEI pledge. Why would you want to, as a entity that is growing and has been very successful in the space, that's a big word with folks, of DEI, why would you want to defy the government? Why would you want that fight when what you did works? Why? I mean, see, I would argue that in the NFL administration, whether it is as a president, vice president, whether it is a GM to coach, I think it's known in the NFL. I think you're beyond laws, rules, and restrictions mandating you hire somebody black or Hispanic. I think we're beyond that. I really do. I mean, I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it, but I think the NFL and the NBA are beyond that. I think Major League Baseball is too. I get it. This guy's stuck in the past, and, he's trying to keep his little thing going because without things like this, Jared Bell, nobody's ever gone to Jared Bell and said, man, what's he think about a play that just happened? According to Bell, discrimination in the workforce is good. As long as people suffering from the discrimination are white men. That's the theory behind this. That's the theory behind all these guys. That's progress, you see. No, I don't think it is. This is our guy, Danny Z, who, by the way, has become a great writer here at OutKick. More importantly, Bell wants the NFL to stand up to Donald Trump. You'll be surprised to learn that Bell is not a fan of the President of the United States. Really? Really? Who cares? Oh, man. This is Bell. Still, in this political climate, it's hardly a stretch to think that the NFL, which typically strategizes and messages in textbook fashion, isn't putting up its guard to lessen the risk that it become a huge target for Trump's anti-DEI messaging, taking a lead from the bully president. Yeah, everybody's a bully. Wait, didn't he say Nazi? How did he miss Nazi? Now that would be a shift and rather sickening. Yeah. No, regardless of his political power, the NFL would squander so much credibility in taking DEI cues like Major League Baseball from Trump. Yeah, I don't think so. Jared, baby, I think people are going to buy jerseys. I know people are going to buy tickets, and I'll tell you what I absolutely know. People are going to sit their fat asses on the couch on Sundays when the NFL starts and watch. And if that offends you, tough shit. But maybe, just maybe, Jared, just maybe, we understand why you have to do it because that's all you got. But just maybe the NFL looked at this and said, I don't think, and maybe they're wrong, I don't think we need this anymore. Boy, would that be weird, huh? Tony Reali, host of ESPN's insufferable but now dead show Around the Horn, is pushing back on the notion, that wokeness killed the show and was responsible for its demise after being on the network 23 years, while Woody Page believes keeping the original cast together would have led to stronger ratings. True. Woody Page became a real guy because Woody Page gave great sports takes while not taking himself so serious. Woody Page would sit there with his little thing back here. I always wanted to see what the note was. And in the original cast, which I kind of liked Blackistone before he had to join the movement. I kind of liked Plasky before he had to join the movement. And I like Woody Page, and I don't know if he ever joined the movement. But anyway, they had to throw a woman in there, and I don't know if any of the women were ever interesting. Certainly Sarah Spain wasn't. She was there for, we know why. Anyway, same thing she tried to sell on the internet. Anyway, long story short, I think this is right. The woke, all right, the woke has its fine headline, right? I don't believe what that is. I honestly think we did 50,000 topics over 23 years. You're going to tell me 10 or 15 drew an eyebrow up? I'll be like, yeah, we were doing some complex topics from time to time. Really? You guys really think you were that complex? I mean, having Dominique Foxworthy bitch, is that really that complex? Really? Okay. Having Sarah Spain talk about how ridiculous everything is that doesn't appease her is really that complex? It's sports, baby. It ain't that complex. And even your sociological stances, they ain't that complex. They're bullshit the way you guys did them. All right, we're doing some I don't mute people in FaceTime, so maybe there's 2 or 3 there that didn't have the back and forth that you'd want. Maybe there's 1 or 2. I take that back if you ask me. Those aren't my regrets, not at all. Yeah, whatever. Here's what our man Woody Page had to say. So the reality of the show being the most eclectic, and it's not a negative word for me, diverse show in the history. Oh, wow. Now we're giving ourselves major credit in the history of the television media. We got people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all on a level playing field. We have men, women, all on that level playing field. That's never going to be a negative to me, even though times have changed and things are viewed differently now. Oh, okay. No, that's reality. Good for reality. I mean, he went from little stat boy to having a hell of a show. You got Jamel Hill, Kate Fagan, Pablo Torre, Sarah Spain, dude named David Dennis Jr. He's the funniest one. 0 credentials. My daddy was a civil rights leader, and I'm angry. Mina Kimes. It was always middle-aged white guys. We had to grow and expand, not only with the people on the show, but expand our talking points. I think that kept us fresh, but it also might have kept us from reaching higher heights in our ratings. Well, here's the deal. This is the way I look at it. You can, in my opinion, have all kind of different people, but they got to be likable. The most likable show on TV, sports show, is Inside the NBA on TNT. And inside the NBA is basically 3 black guys and a white guy. And in their own way, they're likable. Nobody really cares that they're 3 middle-aged guys. Nobody really cares that there's 3 black guys. Nobody ever says, well, why is that guy in the middle, Ernie, wearing a bow tie? No. If you had likable people that weren't always so insecure about their views, that weren't always so pushy of their views, if they presented it like I do, in such a way where, sure, we're sharp, we're cutting, sometimes angry, but we're fun. At least that's my sense. But the people they had on that show and the people that I listed here had no background in anything other than angry, other than hot takes. You tell me Jamel Hill, Kate Fagan, Sarah Spain, Pablo Torre, David Dennis, Izzy Gutierrez, Amina Kimes have any background in any of it other than that right there? How they look? What their nationality is? These people are no fun. These people are arrogant and insecure. A deadly combination, actually. Arrogant and dumb is a deadly combination. I don't think any of these people are dumb. I just don't think they were any fun. I don't think there was anything fun about them. I don't know. I love the NBA. The NBA is the best. According to a lawsuit filed by former Suns employee Gene Taylor, who was the director of safety, security, and risk management, he claims CEO Josh Bartelstein of the Suns, who I know, was allegedly stooping the newest member of the Fever, Sophie Cunningham, while she was still a member of the Mercury. Now, I know Josh Bartelstein. Josh Bartelstein was very welcoming to my son, and this is very sad, personally, for me, if true, because Josh is married. I don't know whether this is true. The Mercury, Sun, everybody has come out and vehemently denied this. I don't know how this does or doesn't affect Sophie Cunningham. I have no idea. By the way, the Fever lost last night, and they lost without anybody losing their mind over some kind of race relations. The great Adam's Apple won. What's her fate? Brittany Griner was here. Anyway, I don't know what's true or not, but I do know this is in a lawsuit. Traylor said in a lawsuit he met with Josh Bartelstein, who was married, told him that Cornelius Craig, the team's vice president of security risk management, has been going around telling people that Bartelstein was having an affair with Cunningham. When Bartelstein asked plaintiff to reveal what Craig was saying, plaintiff explained that Craig was telling others, Josh Bartelstein is effing Sophie Cunningham. It's a lawsuit filed in Arizona District Court. Read additionally, plaintiff requested that Bartelstein speak with the security about Craig's behavior. Yeah, I don't know. The recent reports concerning Bartelstein and Cunningham are entirely false and morally reprehensible. Let's be absolutely clear about the origin of these claims. Attorney Cherie Wright, a personal injury and immigration lawyer, currently serving a 2-year probation with the Arizona State Bar for violating the rules of professional conduct, sees an opportunity because of the reports about previous ownership. That's Stacy Mitch, Vice President of Communications. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Ms. Wright has now filed 4 separate lawsuits against the organization seeking over $140 million in compensation. To date, her cases have been dismissed by the EEOC and the Arizona Civil Rights Division are voluntarily withdrawn. That's again Stacy Mitch. She continues to insert salacious lies and fabrications into her complaints, knowing that the media may report them as fact. Yeah, that's why I haven't reported this. I don't really believe it. I've looked at these lawsuits and I've said, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit. And there's a bunch of security guys that are just pissed at each other trying to get over it. That's the way I look at it. You look at it differently. You do you. You throw Bartelstein, you throw Sophie Cunningham in there, and now you got a story. I don't buy it for 1 second. She hopes to coerce the Phoenix Suns into settling. Cherie Wright will not extort our organization and never see a single dollar. We will pursue all available legal avenues, hold those accountable for participating in the spread of misleading and false narratives. Good for her. Good for her. You know, I'm supposed to talk about it on my afternoon show, but I don't because I don't believe it. Oh, I'll say that again today. I'll talk about the fever, and I'll tell you simply, I don't believe it. I like Josh. Till there's some real evidence and not some skeezy lawsuit, I don't believe it. I don't believe everything that's alleged. Like, I don't believe that, what's-her-face, the boil on the ass of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and her teammates, I don't believe that they were the subject of racial slurs last Saturday. I don't believe it. I mean, if it turns out to be true, I'll change it around. Traylor, the team's former director of safety, security, and risk management, filed a lawsuit against Suns Legacy Partners, LLC, accusing the office, here we go, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. He also alleged that the team retaliated against him after he reported weapons breaches. This thing doesn't make sense. He's the head of security. If he sees weapons breaches, he's supposed to report them, but you're telling me the team didn't want? I don't believe it. I don't. We'll see. We'll see when this gets thrown out. 95% of lawsuits are either settled or thrown out. We'll see what happens. Hey, we got news. We got Belichick news regarding the legendary football coach and his 24-year-old girlfriend. Why do we always put his 24-year-old girlfriend in there? Why don't we just say his girlfriend? Let's get into this week's edition. Rumors are flying that Hudson, the 24-year-old girlfriend, and Bill Belichick are engaged. Yay! Love is love, baby. What's wrong with you? Nobody's done anything illegal here. Why is everybody so mad? Love is love. They're engaged, supposedly. Rumors. Her reported absurd demands to the producers of Hard Knocks have also come to light, and the cupcake interview Bill did with Michael Strahan gets crushed by Mad Dog Russo. Here it is. Citing an anonymous source familiar with the deal, Catherine Roseman reports that Hudson demanded she be granted content approval and part ownership of Hard Knocks. What? Yo, Peaches, sit down. Yo, Bill, tell her to sit her ass down. Been doing Hard Knocks a long time. This is what I would do were I the producer or the owner. Sit her ass down. She ain't owning shit. Now, we doing this or not? I don't know, man. Shut up, Bill. We're either doing this or we're not. We're not doing it. Okay, see you. Easy. Easy. NFL Films ultimately terminated the series shortly after the request and later learned that Hudson had also been in negotiations with production studio Ever Wonder on a similar project. Yeah, you two-timing little gal, you. Yeah, baby. I sees you, Ms. Hudson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Anyway, I'm having a good time today. The timeline laid out by Roseman falls in line with The Athletic's previous reporting, which detailed how HBO NFL Films in North Carolina were on the verge of announcing the series, which had already been publicly reported. before NFL Films abruptly pulled the project. Yeah, some little 24-year-old girl goes to the NFL Films people and says, yeah, I want a part ownership. Hey, little girl, go sit over there. Bill, what are you thinking? I could hear her yapping over there in the corner. Look, pump up the boobs, get a nice dress. Bill, I'm not dealing with her. Where's the chancellor of North Carolina? Where's the athletic director? Where's Bubba Cunningham? What are we doing? I'm not dealing with some little girl. Get out of here. Mad Dog Russo says the same thing. Here's Mad Dog Russo.
To the list. And Michael Strahan was not Mike Wallace on Friday on Good Morning America, I might add. Go ahead.
I missed it. What happened?
Oh, God, you missed nothing. One of the most awkward interviews I've ever seen in my life. ABC, what ABC did there, ABC gave carte blanche to Belichick. Bill, we want you on. You tell us what questions you want to ask. And
you can't do that.
Horrific. 100%. ABC was horrific. That essentially they sold their journalism chops to make sure Belichick, as he was in the news, was on the air. That was a horrific job by a worthy news organization. And then they put Strahan in a tough spot because we all know Strahan is, again, he's not Mike Wallace. He's an ex-football player. No knock against Strahan, but that's an impossible situation. One of his old coaching brethren, he's not going to put him on the spot. And if you're going to have Belichick on the air in that situation, you got to ask him about Malcolm Butler. You got to ask him about not Bob Kraft in your book. You got to ask him about how it ended with New England. You got to ask him why somehow he didn't get the Atlanta job 2 years ago. There's so many things you got to ask him, and they asked him nothing. It was oh my God, it was bad. Anyway, that was a strange one.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Davey, if you were going to ask Bill Belichick something, and you didn't want it to be a puff piece, what's the number one thing you would ask Bill Belichick?
Dan, right now it would not be football related. I'll leave it at that.
What would it be?
It's got to be about the relationship. If there's conversations of marriage here, I'm starting to think there might be like somebody's being taken advantage of. This is just getting to a point to where I don't understand the mindset of Bill. Where are you at?
I got to ask him. I don't really care about the girl. I got to ask him about how it ended. I got to ask him about Robert Kraft. When I saw that press conference, the first thing I thought of was, yeah, this didn't end very well. Yeah, this is crap. I really want to know about that. The girl thing, I don't know. I feel like the girl thing, this Hudson woman, and again, I'm off base with this because I don't know. I'm not there. But I feel like the girl is like, there's no sensitive way to put this, but a women's anatomy controls a lot of men. And I feel like Belichick here is probably, has been through a lot of shit with this woman. So he must love her at a certain level, Davey. But I want to know what happened with, I want to know what happened. I want to break news on what happened with Robert Kraft, Davey. That's what I want to know. I'm kind of getting tired of all this other bullshit with this girl. I don't know.
I will say the decisions from a football standpoint, like I see why things went south in New England. Too much power. The roster management, he ended up leaving Gerard Mayo with a bad roster, so it was going to turn out poorly. They made the right decision. If anything, they probably held on to him for a year too long in New England.
Yeah, again, I just want to know, all right, when did he know he was getting fired? Because he got fired. The definition basically of getting fired is when your boss doesn't want you there anymore, right? It's like the boss says, hey, Dan, you're out. Oh, at some point, would you agree or do you think I'm wrong about this? At some point, Kraft and Belichick, however it happened, Kraft said, we don't want you here as the coach anymore, or the GM, or both. Think that happened?
I do, yeah, that definitely happened. And when you're Bill Belichick, when you've done so much in your career, you're going to probably have some resentment whenever you were told you're no longer welcome.
No question. No question you're resentful. Coaches are, look, There is nobody that rooted against Tom Brady more than Bill Belichick. There is nobody that roots against, even though Brady and him won championships, Vrabel and him won championships, there is nobody in this world that is rooting harder against O.J. Mayo or whatever that Mayo guy's name, Gerard Mayo, than Bill Belichick. Basically, there's nobody, Davey, I think you'd agree with this, that wants the Patriots to fail more than Bill Belichick. And like in the show Seinfeld, it's out of spite, Davey.
And that just like screams Bill Belichick in general when you think about his personality and the stories that his players tell about him.
What about? What do you got?
Well, like you just, I mean, I know it's been watered down now when you talk about the ending of like the Brady relationship, and they had the roast where they were able to make things come together and at least put some things in the past. But you can just tell this is something that's never going to be fully mended.
I agree with that. I agree this is something that is not going to be fully mended. This is something that will be massaged, but this is not something that will be fully mended. Do you care? All right, will you root for Belichick, against Belichick, or do not care this coming season?
I will root against Bill Belichick, Dan, but it's not because it's Bill Belichick. It's because it's the University of North Carolina.
Why? Whoa, what?
I'm a Duke fan. I'm a Duke fan. I know we haven't really talked about that, but yeah, the first thing he did in the press conference was come out and, have the beat Duke sweater on. I don't want to see that school be successful. I'll be vindictive.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit it. Where are you at? Are you hoping for the success of Bill Belichick?
Here's what I'm hoping for, and it's the same thing as Deion Sanders. I like more to watch. So I like interesting to watch. I remember, I don't know what game it was. It was like Sanders' second game, or maybe it was against Nebraska. Maybe it was his first game. I don't know. My wife and I had something to do. My daughter was with us. She's in her 20s. We had something to do. And we're doing all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, let's watch the second half. Let's go to this bar over here and watch second half of Colorado and Nebraska. Now, Davey, back in the early 90s, I might have watched Colorado and Nebraska, but I didn't give it about So it was fun. The bar was actually watching it, So I want that for I want North Carolina and Duke to be interesting in football, so I got something to watch. That's how I look at it.
The ACC
That's my answer.
Yeah, the ACC needs storylines, and so Bill Belichick's definitely going to deliver that. So I don't want him to do so bad that he gets fired, but I do I want the drama. I want some more headlines that are just like, here we go. What's Bill Belichick and North Carolina up to now?
I agree. I totally agree. I want to have something else interesting in addition to what I think is the best sport out there, which is college football. Like Indiana being in it made my year because it's fun, All right, Belichick. Next week we'll have the As the Bill Turns. We'll be right back with Greg Anthony next.